The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Dr. Alan Carter was reviewing patient files in his office at the Global Health Institute when his screen flashed with an urgent notification. He swiped it open, expecting another outbreak report from one of Earth's colonies. Instead, he found himself staring at something unprecedented, a distress call from beyond human space. "This can't be right," Alan muttered, running a hand through his graying hair. The message contained strange symbols alongside a universal mathematical sequence used for first contact protocols. Most striking was the attached visual, microscopic, images of cellular destruction unlike anything in Earth's medical database. Alan immediately called his colleague. "Lisa, you need to see this." Dr. Lisa Warren arrived minutes later, her quick steps betraying her excitement. At 35, she was already Earth's leading virologist, with a reputation for solving impossible medical puzzles. "Is this authentic?" she asked, studying the strange data. "United Earth Space Command confirmed it 10 minutes ago," Alan replied. "It's a genuine distress call from a species calling themselves the Vartani. They're asking for medical help." 2 weeks later, Alan stood in the launch bay of the UEMS Nightingale, Earth's most advanced medical vessel. Around him, doctors, nurses, and medical researchers loaded specialized equipment. The ship would carry 300 of Earth's best medical professionals to the Vartani homeworld, 19 light-years away. "Nervous, Doc?" Joe Martinez appeared beside Alan. The former military medic now headed security for the mission. "Wouldn't you be?" Alan adjusted his uniform collar. 20 years ago, we were celebrating our first colony on Mars. Now we're responding to an alien plague. Joe nodded. First contact through a medical emergency, not how anyone imagined it. Which is why we can't fail. Lisa joined them, carrying her personal research equipment. This isn't just about saving an alien species. It's humanity's first real diplomatic mission. The Nightingale traveled through the recently discovered jump points, crossing the vast distance in just 11 days. When they emerged into the Vartani system, the ship fell silent as everyone crowded to viewports. The Vartani homeworld hung before them, a blue-green planet with swirling white clouds and 3 small moons. It looked remarkably Earth-like, except for the strange purple hue of its continents. "It's beautiful," Lisa whispered. Alan nodded but couldn't shake a sense of unease. In his 25 years as a doctor, he had seen how disease could transform beautiful places into nightmares. The Vartani sent landing coordinates, and the Nightingale deployed its medical shuttles to the surface. Alan led the first team down, heart pounding as they descended through the alien atmosphere. The landing zone was a vast clearing surrounded by crystalline structures that resembled trees. Waiting for them was a delegation of the Vartani. Alan gasped when he saw them. The Vartani stood on 2 legs like humans, but that's where the similarities ended. Their bodies appeared to be made of living crystal, with internal organs visible as colored light pulsing within. They had no mouths, communicating instead through subtle color changes and electronic translators they had prepared. "We welcome Earth Healers." The translation came through Alan's earpiece. "We are grateful for your response to our call." Alan stepped forward. "We've brought our best doctors and equipment. We'll do everything we can to help." The lead Vartani's crystalline form pulsed with deep blue light. "Many die each day. The sickness turns our bodies opaque, and then they shatter." Over the next few days, the Earth medical team set up field hospitals across the Vartani's main population centers. They worked tirelessly to understand the alien biology and the nature of the plague. Lisa made the first breakthrough on their 5th day. "Alan," she called across the lab. "Look at this." On her screen, Alan saw microscopic images of the Vartani cellular structure. "These dark spots, it's not a virus or bacteria as we understand them," Lisa explained. "It's more like a crystalline resonance disruption. Their bodies are literally being shaken apart at a molecular level." "Can we stop it?" Lisa smiled. "I think so. We need to develop a dampening compound that can absorb the harmful resonance." By the end of the first month, they had a prototype, treatment. The results were promising. The progression of the disease slowed in the test subjects. By the second month, They had refined the treatment further, and Vartani were actually recovering. Alan had never felt more fulfilled. Despite the alien environment and the crushing pressure, his team was making a difference. Each day, more Vartani came to the human field hospitals, their crystalline bodies glimmering with hope. What Alan didn't know was that they were being watched. On the 90th day of the mission, Alan was checking on recovering patients when Joe burst into the ward. "We've got a situation," Joe said, his voice tense. "Unknown ships just appeared in orbit." Alan frowned. The Vartani didn't mention expecting visitors. The lead Vartani in the ward suddenly pulsed with alarming red light. "Keldari vessels." The translation came through with what could only be described as fear. "The Imperium has arrived." "Who are the Keldari?" Lisa asked, joining them. "Our overlords," the Vartani explained, colors shifting nervously. "We are a protectorate in their domain. We did not seek their permission before calling you." Joe's comm unit buzzed. "Martinez here." "This is Captain Rivera on the Nightingale. We're being hailed by the alien vessels. They're demanding we withdraw immediately. They claim we're trespassing in Keldari space." Alan stepped forward. "Tell them we're on a humanitarian mission, at the request of the Vartani. We're doctors, not soldiers." "I've tried that, sir," Rivera replied. "They've given us 6 hours to pack up and leave. They say any human remaining after that deadline will be considered an invader." Alan looked around the hospital ward at the dozens of Vartani patients, many still in critical condition. "We can't just abandon them." Lisa nodded firmly. "Some of these patients won't survive transport, and if we leave now, the plague will just resume spreading." Joe checked his sidearm, a habit from his military days. "I don't like this, Doc. If these Keldari are as advanced as they seem, they could wipe us out in seconds." "We're clearly marked as a medical mission," Alan insisted. "Attacking medics is forbidden in every human conflict. Surely they must have similar principles." The Vartani's lights dimmed. "The Keldari do not share such values. To them, strength is the only virtue." Alan faced his team. "Send a message to Earth about our situation, but we're not abandoning our patients. Not now, not ever." As the deadline approached, the Earth medics continued their work, even as many Vartani fled the hospitals in fear. Alan clung to his belief that even aliens would respect the universal nature of humanitarian aid. He was looking up at the sky when the first Keldari warships breached the atmosphere, their hulls black against the alien sun, weapons primed and ready to fire. The 6-hour deadline had passed and humanity was about to learn a harsh lesson about interstellar politics. The Keldari ships descended from the sky like giant black predators. Their sleek hulls absorbed the sunlight rather than reflected it, creating an unnatural shadow over the medical compound. Alan Carter watched from the hospital entrance, his white medical uniform stark against the darkening landscape. "Everyone inside now," Joe Martinez ordered, ushering the remaining medical staff back into the building. "Move critical patients to the center rooms." Lisa Warren was already organizing the evacuation of ambulatory patients. "Those who can walk, follow the green light path. Medical staff, 1 person per 3 patients." Alan's communicator buzzed. It was Captain Rivera from the Nightingale in orbit. "Dr. Carter, the Keldari have surrounded our ship. They're jamming most communications, but we're still getting emergency channels through. What's your status?" 5 field hospitals with approximately 80 staff each, Alan reported, watching as the first Keldari landing craft touched down about a mile from their position. "We have hundreds of patients who can't be moved. The Keldari commander is demanding that all human personnel surrender immediately," Rivera said, her voice tight. "They claim we've violated their territorial sovereignty." Alan spotted movement near the landing craft. Figures emerged, tall, armored beings with 4 arms and helmet designs resembling ancient Earth samurai. They moved with disturbing precision. "We're a medical mission," Alan insisted. "Tell them again." "I have, sir. They don't seem to care." Joe joined Alan at the doorway, his face grim. "Those are soldiers, not diplomats. We should prepare for the worst." A deep rumble filled the air. Alan looked up to see one of the Keldari ships positioning itself directly over Field Hospital 3, about 2 miles east of their location. Rivera, one of their ships, is... A blinding flash cut off his words. When Alan could see again, Hospital 3 was gone. In its place was a smoking crater. God, no, Lisa whispered beside him. There were over 200 patients in there. Alan's communicator crackled. Repeat, all hospitals are targeted. Rivera's voice disappeared in a burst of static. Joe grabbed Alan's arm. We need to get everyone out now. The next moments passed in a blur of motion and sound. The medical staff rushed to move patients as explosions rocked the ground. Through the windows, Alan saw more Keldari ships descending, their weapons charging. The underground storage tunnels, a Vartani nurse suggested, her crystalline form pulsing with urgent red and white light. They connect to caves beyond the B settlement. Joe immediately began organizing the evacuation. Everyone, bring only essential medical supplies, leave everything else. Lisa supervised the transfer of critical patients, her face streaked with sweat and dust. Alan, help me with the isolation ward. We have 12 patients on life support. They had just reached the isolation ward when the building shook violently. Part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking the main corridor. Find another way around, Alan shouted to the staff behind them. Meet at the tunnel entrance. Inside the ward, Lisa was already disconnecting patients from fixed equipment and switching them to portable units. We can't move all of them in time, she said, not looking up from her work. We have to try, Alan insisted. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency lighting casting everything in a red glow. They had managed to move 6 patients when the wall exploded inward. Dust and debris filled the air. Alan was thrown across the room, slamming into medical equipment. Through ringing ears, he heard Lisa cry out. When his vision cleared, he saw her pinned beneath a fallen beam, protecting a young Vartani patient with her body. The patient's crystalline form was glowing weakly, but still intact. Lisa. Alan crawled toward her, ignoring the pain in his ribs. I'm stuck, she gasped. Get the patient out. Alan tried to lift the beam, but it wouldn't budge. Outside, he could hear weapons fire and screams. Joe appeared in the doorway, his face bloodied. Carter, we need to go now. They're inside the compound. Together, they managed to free the Vartani patient. Joe lifted the alien gently while Alan made another attempt to free Lisa. Leave me, she said, her voice surprisingly calm. Get as many out as you can. Not happening, Alan grunted, straining against the beam. A shadow fell across them. In the ruined doorway stood a Keldari soldier, armor gleaming in the emergency lights, weapon raised. Joe reacted instantly, placing himself between the alien and his colleagues. We're medical personnel. These are patients. The Keldari's response was to fire a shot that narrowly missed Joe's head. Go, Lisa shouted. I'll buy you time. Before Alan could protest, Lisa had pulled a scalpel from her pocket and thrown it with surprising accuracy. It struck the Keldari's helmet viewport, cracking it and momentarily distracting the alien. Joe grabbed Alan and pulled him toward the secondary exit, the Vartani patient cradled in his other arm. We can't leave her. Alan struggled against Joe's grip. She's given us a chance, Joe said grimly. Don't waste it. They escaped into the corridor as more weapons fire erupted behind them. Alan's last glimpse of Lisa was her determined face as she reached for a broken oxygen tank, preparing to use it as a weapon. The next hours passed in a nightmarish blur. Alan, Joe, and the remaining medical staff guided as many patients as possible through the tunnels beneath the hospital. Behind them, explosions and weapons fire continued. The ground shook with impacts from orbital bombardment. By nightfall, they had reached a series of caves 5 miles from the compound. Of the 1,500 human medical personnel who had arrived on the Vartani homeworld, Alan could account for less than 300 survivors. The rest were either dead or captured. In a secluded corner of the cave, Alan treated Joe's wounds, a deep cut on his forehead, and a laser burn across his shoulder. The emergency shuttles? Alan asked, his voice hollow. 2 got away, Joe replied. Captain Rivera managed to break through the Keldari blockade with the Nightingale. She's headed back to Earth with footage of the attack. Alan's hands trembled as he applied a bandage. Why? Why attack medics? We were helping, not fighting. AD. Surviving Vartani approached them. Her crystalline body dimmed with what Alan had learned to recognize as grief. The Keldari believe in dominance above all, she explained. Your help threatened their control over us. They would rather see us die than be saved by another species. Alan stared at the cave entrance, where the distant flashes of continuing bombardment lit up the night sky. They'll pay for this, he said quietly. Earth won't stand for an attack on a medical mission. What can Earth do? The Vartani asked. The Keldari Imperium spans dozens of star systems. They have technologies you've never seen. Alan looked at the alien, his expression hardening. There are things Earth has that they've never seen either. And now they'll learn what happens when you attack our healers. In the darkness of the cave, surrounded by the wounded and dying, Alan Carter made a silent vow. Lisa's sacrifice, and the deaths of all the other medical personnel, would not be in vain. The Keldari had revealed themselves as an enemy beyond reasoning with or understanding, and they had just made the worst mistake possible. They had given humanity a reason to unleash its darkest capabilities in the name of justice. The emergency meeting room at United Earth headquarters was filled to capacity. Military officers, government officials, and medical directors sat in tense silence as they watched the footage from the Vartani homeworld. The images showed Keldari, ships firing on clearly marked hospitals, medical staff in white uniforms running for cover, buildings collapsing, patients dying. Admiral Susan Kelly stood at the front of the room when the recording ended. Her face was a mask of controlled anger. The UEMS Nightingale arrived back in Earth space this morning, she said. Captain Rivera confirms that at least 1,200 medical personnel are dead or missing. Dr. Alan Carter and approximately 300 others are in hiding on the planet's surface. President William Garcia shook his head. An unprovoked attack on a humanitarian mission. This cannot stand. What are our options? Asked Director Olivia Patel of the Global Health Institute. We need to rescue our people. Admiral Kelly tapped her tablet, and a new image appeared on the main screen. A detailed map of known space. The Keldari Imperium controls this region, she said, highlighting a large section of the map. According to the information we've gathered, they're a militaristic species that rules through force and intimidation. The Vartani are just one of many subject races. Do we have the military capability to challenge them? The president asked. General Frank Rivera, head of Earth's defense forces, stood up. Not conventionally, sir. Our fleet is designed for defense and exploration, not offensive operations. The Keldari have us outnumbered and outgunned. A heavy silence fell over the room. There is another option, Admiral Kelly said quietly. She entered a command on her tablet. The lights in the room dimmed and a single word appeared on the screen. Reaper. What is this? President Garcia leaned forward. A program we developed after first contact, Kelly explained. A contingency plan against hostile alien species. Director Patel frowned. I've never heard of it. Very few have, Kelly said. Protocol. Reaper was designed as a last resort. It's not a weapon or a ship, it's a specialized force. She pulled up a new image. A training facility hidden deep in the Arctic. Reapers are combat medics, people with extensive medical knowledge who have been trained to use that knowledge as a weapon. The implications hung in the air for a moment before General Rivera spoke up. You're talking about using medical knowledge to harm, rather than heal. That goes against everything we stand for. So does attacking doctors and nurses who were trying to save lives, Kelly countered. The Keldari crossed a line. They need to understand what that means. President Garcia looked troubled. Has this Reaper force ever been deployed? No, sir, Kelly said. It was created as a deterrent, never meant to be used. But we're facing an enemy that doesn't respect our values or the universal sanctity of medical personnel. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for traditional military action. Others wanted to attempt diplomatic solutions. But as reports came in of Keldari forces expanding into neighboring systems, the options narrowed. Finally, President Garcia made his decision. "Activate Protocol, Reaper," he said grimly. "Let's show the Keldari what happens when you attack Earth's healers." 3 days later, at the Arctic training facility, Sam Foster stared at the application form on his tablet. Around him, other medical professionals were doing the same, each face grim with purpose. Sam had been a nurse on the Vartani mission. He had returned to Earth just 2 weeks before the attack to attend his mother's funeral. His partner, Nurse Amy Russell, had stayed behind. She was now listed among the missing. A tall woman in a military uniform approached him. "Mr. Foster, I'm Colonel Jackie Hayes. You've been selected for an assessment." Sam followed her to a small room with a single table. On it lay several medical instruments. "Tell me, Mr. Foster," Hayes said, "why do you want to become a Reaper?" Sam looked at the medical tools. "The Keldari killed people I care about, people who were only trying to help." "Revenge is understandable but not sufficient," Hayes said. "Reapers require something more." "It's not just revenge," Sam said quietly. "It's about justice, about showing the universe that there are lines you don't cross." Hayes nodded. "For centuries, even in our worst conflicts, humans have protected medical personnel. It's one of our most sacred principles. And now we need to teach that principle to the Keldari," Sam finished. "Yes." Hayes gestured to the medical instruments. "These tools were designed to heal. As a Reaper, you'll learn to use them differently. Can you do that?" Sam thought of Amy, of Dr. Lisa Warren, who had died protecting her patients, of all the others. "Yes," he said. "I can." Training was brutal. Sam and the other recruits learned combat tactics alongside advanced xenobiology. They studied Keldari physiology based on limited data from the Vartani encounter. They practiced with modified medical equipment designed to exploit alien biological weaknesses. Dr. Alan Carter, rescued from the Vartani homeworld in a covert operation, became their chief instructor on alien biology. "The Keldari respiratory system has 3 separate chambers," he explained during one session. "Their nervous system uses chemical transmitters similar to our own, but with key differences." Sam absorbed everything. Each night he dreamed of Amy. Sometimes she was alive, held prisoner. Sometimes she was dead, her body abandoned in a ruined hospital. The uncertainty drove him harder. After 8 weeks of training, Colonel Hayes addressed the first Reaper unit, 20 individuals with medical backgrounds now transformed into something new. "Tomorrow you deploy to Keldari space," she said. "Your first target is their primary military hospital station in the Cygnus sector. Your mission is not just to strike, but to send a message." That night, Sam sat alone in his quarters, staring at a photo of Amy. He barely recognized himself in the mirror. His eyes were harder, his expression colder. "What we're about to do goes against our oaths," he whispered to the photo. "But they left us no choice." The next morning, Sam and his team boarded a stealth transport. Their uniforms were black with a single red symbol, the ancient medical caduceus crossed with a scythe. Dr. Carter met them at the launch bay. He had refused to become a Reaper himself, but had contributed his knowledge to the program. "Remember," he told them, "your knowledge is your weapon. The Keldari understand force, but they've never encountered anyone who can use healing knowledge to cause harm." "We won't fail," Sam promised. As the transport prepared for departure, Admiral Kelly delivered final orders from Earth Command. "Show the Keldari why attacking our medics was their greatest mistake," she said. "Make them fear the Reapers." The ship slipped away from Earth, carrying its dark cargo toward Keldari space. Aboard, Sam Foster checked his equipment one last time. Modified surgical tools, specially engineered compounds, and detailed files on Keldari biology. The hunters who had once been healers were coming, and the Keldari would soon learn that there are some lines that should never be crossed. The Keldari military hospital station hung in space like a giant metal spider. Its 8 arms extended from a central hub, each one holding different medical facilities. Lights blinked along its surface, showing the constant activity inside. It was the pride of the Keldari Imperium, where their wounded warriors came to heal and return to battle. Tonight, it would become something else. The human transport approached silently, its stealth systems hiding it from Keldari sensors. Inside, Sam Foster checked his equipment one last time. His black uniform felt strange after years of wearing nurse's scrubs. The red caduceus and scythe symbol on his shoulder seemed to glow in the dim light of the ship. 5 minutes to insertion, announced the pilot. Colonel Hayes stood before the 20 Reapers. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. Sam thought of Amy somewhere on the Vartani homeworld, either dead or captured. He pushed the pain down and focused on the mission. Team 1 with me, he said quietly. As the mission's medical specialist, he was leading the first strike team. We take the central hub. Team 2 secures the command center. Team 3 handles any response from their security forces. The transport matched speed with the station and extended a docking tube. No alarm sounded. The Keldari, confident in their dominance, had never expected an attack on their medical facility. Sam's team moved through the airlock and into the station. The Keldari inside, medical staff rather than soldiers, stared in shock at the black-clad humans. Before they could react, the Reapers struck. Sam fired a modified tranquilizer dart into the nearest Keldari. The compound was designed to work with their specific biology, shutting down motor functions while leaving them conscious. The alien collapsed, unable to move but fully aware of what was happening. Secure the entrance, Sam ordered as his team moved efficiently through the corridors. Unlike traditional soldiers, the Reapers didn't kill everyone they encountered. They were selective, precise, like surgeons removing a tumor. Medical staff were incapacitated. Security personnel were neutralized with targeted compounds that attacked their nervous systems. Sam consulted the station schematic on his wrist. Display. This way to the central medical database. They moved deeper into the station, encountering more resistance as they went. A group of Keldari security forces appeared at a junction, weapons raised. Intruders. Surrender, or... Sam fired. First, his dart hitting the lead guard in the neck joint of his armor. The specialized compound went to work immediately, targeting the unique aspects of Keldari biology that Dr. Carter had identified. The guard dropped his weapon as his forearms began to shake uncontrollably. The rest of the team dealt with the other guards just as efficiently. None were killed, but all were left incapacitated in various ways, each one experiencing a different carefully designed symptom. They're learning, Sam said to his team. Lesson 1. Attacking Earth's medics means facing enemies who understand exactly how your body works. They reached the central database room. Sam connected a device to the main terminal, uploading a virus that would extract all the Keldari medical data and transmit it back to Earth. Information secured, he reported. Moving to Phase 2. Phase 2 was the real purpose of their mission. Not just to strike, but to send a message. The team regrouped at the central hub of the station. Around them, Keldari medical personnel and patients watched in horror, unable to move but fully conscious. Sam felt a twinge of his old healer's empathy, but pushed it aside. These were the people who had supported an empire that bombed hospitals and killed doctors. Begin the demonstration, he ordered. Each Reaper removed specialized equipment from their packs. These weren't weapons in the traditional sense. They were modified medical tools, scanners, injectors, neural stimulators, all repurposed for a darker use. Sam approached the highest-ranking Keldari they had identified, a medical director with elaborate insignia on his uniform. The alien's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, the only movement his paralyzed body could manage. My name is Sam Foster, he said, knowing the Keldari translation devices would convey his words. I was a nurse on the Vartani homeworld when your forces attacked our medical mission. Sam held up a small device that resembled a medical scanner. This tool was designed to diagnose pain. Now it can create it. He placed the device against the Keldari's neck. The alien's eyes widened as the scanner activated, sending precisely calibrated signals to his pain receptors without causing any physical damage. This is just a sample, Sam said, removing the device after a few seconds. A taste of what we can do. Around the room, other Reapers were demonstrating similar techniques on selected Kildari officers. Each demonstration was brief but terrifying, showing the aliens exactly what humans could do with their medical knowledge. We know every weakness of your biology, Sam continued, addressing all the Kildari present. We know how to cause pain without injury, how to create terror without lasting harm. This is our first warning. He nodded to a team member who activated a recording device. Sam's next words would be broadcast throughout Kildari space. 3 months ago, you attacked Earth's medical personnel who were saving Vartani lives. You showed no mercy to doctors and nurses. You bombed hospitals filled with patients. You violated the most sacred principle of civilized beings. Sam's voice remained calm, which somehow made his words more terrifying. We are the Reapers. We were healers until you forced us to become weapons. Today, we have shown restraint. We have taken no lives, but make no mistake, we can do far worse. He moved to the center of the room where all could see him. Release our medical personnel you captured on the Vartani homeworld. Withdraw from Vartani space. Agree to respect medical neutrality in all future conflicts. Sam gestured to the Kildari medical director. This officer will be our messenger. The rest of you will recover fully in 24 hours with no lasting effects. Consider this a professional courtesy from one medical community to another. He leaned closer to the director, voice dropping. If our terms are not met within 1 standard week, we will return. And next time, we won't be so gentle. The Reapers completed their mission, leaving subtle markers of their presence throughout the station. Modified medical insignias painted on walls, equipment arranged in specific patterns, messages left on computer systems, all designed to spread fear and uncertainty among the Kildari. As they prepared to leave, Sam took one last look at the station. Part of him was horrified by what they had done, using medical knowledge to terrify rather than heal. But another part felt a grim satisfaction. The Kildari needed to understand that some lines should never be crossed. Back on the transport, Colonel Hayes received his report. Mission accomplished, Sam told her. The message has been delivered. Good, she replied. But this is just the beginning. Teams are hitting 5 other Kildari medical facilities simultaneously. By tomorrow, the entire Imperium will know about the Reapers. Sam nodded, feeling both pride and shame in what they had become. What happens now? Hayes looked at him, her expression hard. Now we wait to see if they're smart enough to be afraid. 6 days after the Reaper attacks, the Kildari High Command gathered in their fortress on their homeworld. The room was silent except for the nervous clicking of their secondary limbs against the metal table. On the main screen was a map showing the 6 medical facilities that had been hit simultaneously by the humans. Impossible, muttered Supreme Commander Varex, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. How did they bypass our defenses? The question is not how they did it, said War Master Keltor, but what they will do next. Reports from all 6 facilities told the same story. Black-clad humans who moved like shadows. Weapons that caused pain without killing. Medical knowledge turned against them with terrifying precision. They left this message at every station, said Intelligence Director Xerax, playing a recording of Sam Foster's warning. The Kildari rulers watched in uncomfortable silence. Their empire had conquered a dozen species, and none had ever dared to strike back like this. They are bluffing, Varex said finally. These Reapers attacked medical facilities because they lack the strength to challenge our military directly. I disagree, Xerax replied. Our analysts believe this was a deliberately restrained demonstration. They wanted to show what they could do, not what they would do. The debate continued for hours. Some commanders wanted to strike Earth immediately to crush this human defiance before it spread. Others counseled caution, pointing out that the humans had somehow bypassed their most sophisticated defenses. In the end, pride won out over prudence. We will not negotiate with primitives, Varex declared. Double the guards at all medical facilities. Set our fleet on high alert. Let these Reapers come again. We will be ready. 3 days later, they learned how wrong they were. The first sign came when Varex himself collapsed during a military parade. One moment he was standing proudly on the review platform. The next, he was writhing on the ground, his body convulsing as if every nerve ending was on fire. Similar reports came, and from across Keldari space, military leaders, ship captains, and government officials all struck down by the same mysterious affliction. No wounds, no poison detected, just unbearable pain that came in precise waves. In orbit above the Keldari homeworld, Sam Foster watched the chaos unfold from the bridge of the Earthship Mercy. The name was darkly ironic, a hospital ship now serving as the command center for the most devastating Reaper operation yet. Phase 1 complete, reported Colonel Hayes, standing beside him. Targeted neurological agents deployed through their water filtration systems. Dr. Alan Carter, serving as medical advisor for the mission, looked troubled. The compounds will break down naturally in 72 hours. No permanent damage as requested, but plenty of pain until then, Sam said quietly. On the main screen, they could see Keldari emergency services rushing to help their stricken leaders. Phase 2, Hayes ordered. Sam nodded and activated the communication system. His face appeared on every screen across the Keldari homeworld and their major colonies. "This is Reaper Command," he said, his voice calm. "We warned you what would happen if you ignored our demands." He paused, letting the fear build. "Your leaders are experiencing a small sample of what your forces inflicted on innocent patients on the Vartani homeworld. Unlike you, we have shown restraint. The effects are temporary. Your leaders will recover, if you meet our terms." In the Keldari High Command bunker, the few officers still able to function stared at the human face with growing dread. "We have proven we can reach you anywhere," Sam continued. "Your defenses cannot stop us. Your medical knowledge cannot counter ours." He held up a small vial containing a blue liquid. "This is the antidote. It will immediately neutralize the effects your people are experiencing. We will provide it once you agree to our terms." Intelligence Director Zyrax, one of the few senior officials not affected, took command of the emergency response. "What guarantee do we have that you will honor this agreement?" he asked, his voice transmitted back to the Mercy. "You attacked our medical mission without provocation," Sam replied. "We could have responded with full military force. Instead, we chose a targeted approach. That is your guarantee. We could do much worse, but choose not to." Hours of tense negotiation followed. The Keldari, faced with their leaders' suffering and the realization that their defenses had been comprehensively breached, finally agreed to the humans' terms. 1 week later, Sam Foster stood in a field hospital on the Vartani homeworld. Around him, human medical staff were treating patients again, this time under the protection of a formal treaty. Alan Carter approached him, looking both relieved and concerned. "The last of our captured personnel have been returned. 216 survivors." "And the rest?" Sam asked. "Confirmed dead," Alan said quietly. "Including Lisa Warren. She died protecting her patients." Sam nodded, feeling the grief he'd held back for months. "And Amy?" Alan put a hand on his shoulder. "I'm sorry, Sam. She was in Hospital 3 when it was hit. There were no survivors." Sam closed his eyes briefly. He had suspected this, but hearing it confirmed still felt like a physical blow. "Was it worth it?" he asked softly. "What we became, what we did." Alan looked around at the field hospital where humans were once again healing rather than harming. The Keldari have withdrawn from Vartani space. They've signed the Interstellar Medical Neutrality Accord. 17 other species have joined already, all agreeing that medical personnel and facilities are off limits in any conflict. He gestured to the sky. "Out there, people know about the Reapers now. They know what happens when you attack Earth's medics." Sam removed the black Reaper uniform he had worn for the treaty signing, revealing the white medical uniform underneath. "I'm going back to being a nurse," he said. "That's who I really am." "We all are," Alan agreed. "But the Reapers will remain. not as an active force but as a reminder of lines that shouldn't be crossed. Later that day, Sam stood before a simple memorial erected for the medical personnel who had died. Names were etched into crystal donated by the Vartani, a fusion of human and alien artistic styles. He found Amy's name and traced it with his finger. "We're healers again," he whispered. "But they'll remember what happened when they made us something else." In the distance, Vartani children played near a new human-designed hospital under construction. Their crystalline forms sparkled in the alien sunlight, alive because humans had come to heal, and had taught the galaxy a harsh lesson about the consequences of attacking those who save lives. Sam placed a small earth flower at the base of the memorial. Behind him, a Keldari diplomatic shuttle landed, bringing their medical representatives for the first official exchange of medical knowledge between the species. The universe had learned an important lesson. Earth's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or its technology. It was the lengths to which its people would go to uphold their most sacred principles, even if that meant temporarily betraying those principles to ensure they would never be threatened again. The Reapers had returned to being healers, but the galaxy would never forget they had once been something else.